growing up, I was always looking at like a career that made money because I didn't want to have financial scarcity like I did growing up. So when I came out of chiropractic school, I was very ambitious to grow. I wanted to thrive. I wanted, just like anyone who starts a business.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I had a little bit probably more because of my background. And I followed all the business advice that I can get my hands on. I was reading 80 to 120 books a year. I was listening to podcasts. I didn't listen to music for five. I mean, maybe here and there, but it was mostly podcasts,
Yeah.
videos, books. I mean, it was just all I was downloading all the time because they said, oh, the more knowledge you have, the more money you make. It's like, okay, I'm going to do what I have to do. You have to grind and hustle. You got to work the very long hours. You got to just do all this work. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So long story short, a lot of ups and downs in that process. But long story short, I ended up 5 years in, hit my financial peak, which I was like, this is awesome, man. I'm making all this money. But I mean, I wasn't happy. I was unsatisfied. I was unfulfilled. I was burned out every 4 to 6 months during this journey. So I wasn't living my best me. But yeah, guess what? I made all this money and I can go showboat that and I could be an ego about it and show how much I make and what I did and
Right.
look how fast I did it and how I did all these other things, And but to me, I lead my life by fulfillment. I had to go through that first just so my ego could get in check and see how it's not all about growing to that level and being as fast as you can, like what you hear on social media, right? You go listen to the coaches now. I'll make you a seven-figure person in a year or two, or I'll make you, 10K a month in 3 months. There's nothing wrong with that. And some people, it's great to do that. Don't get me wrong. You're starting a business. You want to grow as fast as you can.
Right.
And I'm a coach, so I understand that. I help my clients do these kind of things. But it's one of those things that, I mean, I had a lot of trials and tribulations through this process to get to the point of where I'm at today. I mean, I ended up going bankrupt in my business in the first year and a half, not my business, about a year and a half, 2 years. I had to make a choice. There was a lot of things that went on in my life, but I had to make a choice to either bankrupt my personal life because I put everything on credit cards. Business wasn't moving as fast as I needed to. Student loans were being really harsh at the time because during Rock October 2008, 2009, banks were nowhere near flexible and friendly
Yeah.
like they are now. They wanted me to make a payment. And I was like, I get a bill every month. I used to joke about this. I'm like, I get a bill every single month and it's like a mortgage statement, probably a little bit, probably double from what I'm used to seeing. And I go, and I don't know, have the keys to the house. I don't know where it lives, but they just keep telling me I got to pay this or else. And so when they were like, when I was starting a business, I just needed that cushion. They just would
Right.
not budge. And so with everything else I did, probably, ambitious, but long story short, this is where the development of the Billionaire Success Formula came, because I started to look at what's the advice is being told. I already understood mindset. I already understood neuroscience. I already understood quantum physics and all this other stuff, all the different ologies that I studied, neuro-linguistic programming. And I was looking at this in my head. I was like, this makes no sense. We're being told to grind and hustle and work. Everything's about hard work and action. This information came from the 1900s. Rockefeller was one of the first people saying about hard work. Henry Ford came behind that. And all these other pioneer people kept coming out saying, hard work, hard work, hard work. That's what makes success. So it's been ingrained in our conditioning. It's been ingrained in our subconsciousness. A lot of people think that's what we have to do. And coming from the spiritual side, which is now quantum. It's one of those things where I was like, no, you don't have to. Like, you define your life. If you're the author of your life, that should mean every single fabric, right? Well, no, you have to grind. And it's like, I'm going to test this out. So after our financial peak, I didn't like the way my office was being run. I had a coach who kind of told me, like, just accept where people are when it comes to health. And that just wasn't me. I'm a very big perfectionist. When I do things, I put all in and I want to see results for my patients, like fully. And that comes into one part of they have to be committed and they have to follow certain recommendations of what I recommend based on what I know. It's the same thing like in coaching. I'm not going to take a client who's going to half-ass things. It's just, that's why if they're going to do that, I don't want them as a client, because I want people who are going to want to do the work and follow through. So long story short, we took a financial hit about 40% on purpose. This was a choice. We looked at our office, we looked at the kind of patients that weren't following care properly, and we said, hey, we're going to be making some changes in the office, and one of those is we're asking that we're going to want to do some checks, maybe do a progress exam to see where you are, to evaluate where you are, so we can see and then give you recommendations that we want you to follow. And if you can't, that's perfectly fine. I get it. It's just, we may not be that office for you. And just when we respectfully, and as a doctor, you have to refer them to another doctor, so that way you're not having medical neglect. And we did all that. And but long story short, here's where the whole thing changed for me is I flipped the script. What I ended up doing was I focused on my mindset and my vibe, and I only did maybe 10% on action.